Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Nord and Block Podcast. It is Monday, April 14th, 2025. I am your host here, Nordic97, with my other host, LeBlock James. LeBlock, how we doing?
So stoked to be here.
Oh, I'm sure you are so happy. We will get into why you're happy here momentarily, but first, we have a lot of news around the NHL that we need to cover. First off, what happened earlier last week, Ivan Demidov is coming over from the KHL and heading over to the Montreal Canadiens. It looked like for a little bit there, we weren't going to see him come over this year, and it was going to be a next year's thing. And I think we were kind of sold on that. Like, I think everybody was like at the expectation that was what was going to happen. He was going to take a year, play in the KHL, not burn off the first year of his ELC, and everything would be fine. However, Montreal on their late playoff push, like, to be honest with you, I think if they were firmly out of the playoffs, I don't think this happens. But now that they're negotiating this with Demidov and all this is happening and they're on this huge playoff push, I think this has really gone into fruition. And as a result, he is signing his 3-year entry-level contract. He has landed in Montreal, has practiced with the team in Toronto, and is likely to play probably right when or after you listen to this podcast. So just some crazy stuff there out of Montreal. I don't think we expect Demidov to come over at all. What are your thoughts?
So when this came out, I thought this has got to be fake. this got to be fake.
Yeah,
but and Freeman's like, listen, it's real. I'm like, oh, because there was a report that Demidov, is it Demidov or Demidov?
I've heard it said both ways. I just say Demidov.
Right, I'm gonna go Demidov. So that Demidov was gonna stay, and he wasn't gonna come over. Even next year was like a
yeah, it still was a question.
So the question was over next year. So for him to get, temporary release, basically they've loaned him to Montreal, and the expectation is that when the season starts next year, he will be back in Russia.
Oh, is that the case? Really?
Yeah. Well, it said in the print if he doesn't get substantial playing time, he will be back he's with St. Petersburg, right?
Yes. What if he gets substantial playing time?
Then he'll be in Montreal.
Okay. All right.
I think that was on St. Petersburg's release. When I translated it to English, so it seems that it's a lot. It happens to a lot of Russians where like if they're not getting the playing time that they desire, they will go back.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense there. I'm just gonna say it. Nikishin's not the same instance, right? Or Nikishin?
No, Nikishin's not the same instance.
Okay, all right. Going back to Demidov. Just phenomenal. I mean, this kid with literally no playing time in the KHL put up nearly a point per game. 49 points, 65 games played, which is just phenomenal. And again, he's playing like 10 minutes per game in a low-scoring, highly competitive KHL league. It is just phenomenal, the way this kid's played. I think his ice time average, we looked it up on the Nordcast, he's like playing 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That is insane. And you're putting up numbers like that, I can only imagine what he's going to do when he gets actual playing time in Montreal. I'm very intrigued with that. And Montreal's been such a vibe, especially over the last couple of weeks. Again, like if right now we're recording during games, if Columbus loses to Washington, Montreal's in. Mm. And I don't even think that was thought of at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, Montreal was considered this like, they'll be last or seventh, but they'll be fun, they'll be competitive. You couldn't have written the script any differently.
No.
Yeah, like Montreal in a playoff spot. I'll be honest, if you told me that to start the season, I probably would have laughed at you. I probably would have straight up like out loud laugh.
Well, we laughed at plenty of Habs fans.
Yeah,
we laughed at plenty of them just because like. I said, like, yeah, I could see them going out and contending, but, like, I didn't think this was the year. I didn't think this year was going to be it. I just didn't think they were ready. And being led by Devine Hutson, who has been just the glue to this whole blue line, this whole team. Nick Suzuki's taken a really big step again. Cole Caulfield scoring. Just all of that has led Montreal on this crazy run. And not only that, but it feels like literally every other team in the Eastern Conference just doesn't want that last spot, and Montreal finally ran away with it.
I'm just saying, even Montreal at a point didn't seem like they were interested in that spot, because there was a portion of time where we had 4 teams competing for the one spot, and all of them were losing.
Yeah, honestly, it's funny. I think we read it off last week. Like, you look at all the teams that were competing for it that were mathematically in it. Now there's only one. Well, 2, I guess you can say, but 1 behind Montreal. Like, you looked at all of them, they all had below 500 in the last 10 games. It's kind of wild to think. So, but yeah, Demidov just coming over is insane, and just where Montreal is at right now, they're in a very good spot. They have the most draft picks heading into this year's draft. They will have Calgary's pick, unless if Calgary, I think, makes the playoffs. But regardless, they're still probably going to have it.
Yeah.
It's pretty phenomenal, the place that they're in, and I'm sure you're just thrilled about it.
Here's the thing. I knew Montreal was going to be a problem. I didn't think Montreal would be a problem this soon.
Yeah, I agree. Now, I do want to say this. I've seen a lot of Habs fans jump and say that their rebuild went so much faster than Ottawa's and Detroit's and Buffalo's, which is true. However, I do want to say this. Montreal has something that those other teams did not have at the beginning of the rebuild. They had Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. And those have arguably been, besides, I guess, Lane Hutson, been their 2 biggest X factors on this team. With those guys, they were young at the time of the rebuild. Well, they weren't, super duper young. They weren't, fresh out of the draft. I mean, Caulfield kind of was. But they were young, and you've seen them develop as this team has rebuilt and gone through this, and now you get all these young players surrounded by those blue-chip guys. It's all connected together really good. So I think, what they've done is just incredible in the 4 years they haven't been in a playoff spot. But I am going to say this. Other teams, when they started their rebuild, didn't have those 2 guys to build alongside them. And they're a big part. Not denying that at all.
Yeah. So when looking at Montreal's rebuild, I think I've said this to you off camera last week, saying how Montreal already had established pieces before the rebuild, the year before the rebuild started. Yes. Montreal also got a first overall pick that Ottawa and Detroit didn't even come close to getting.
Yes.
Look, and one thing I will say, let's look at the bare rosters. So the year of the rebuild, where they decided we're going to rebuild. Detroit's roster, brutal. Ottawa's roster, it was bad, but they had pieces to trade away. Montreal's roster compared to those 2 rosters is actually a really good roster compared to those 2 rosters.
I will say this. Their roster, when they were really bad in 2021, 22, was pretty terrible. But again, as I said, I think a massive part of why they've been able to bounce back so fast is because of Suzuki and Caulfield, is because they got that first overall pick. I'm not trying to take away from anything that they've done. What they've done is incredible. The turnaround is unreal. But they already had established pieces there that I think were just a monumental, huge part in why they are where they are now. And again, I think that there's still a little ways to go. Yes, they will be in the playoffs this year. I think it would be insane if they fall out, which I don't think is possible. They have to win literally 1 more game.
They need to get a point.
Yes, they need to get a literal point. And even if Columbus loses tonight, it's over. They're in. But I still think there's a little bit of ways to go with this team. The bottom 6 just doesn't entice me that much. I'm not saying that they're getting carried by Suzuki, Caulfield, Hutson, but you look at the points. It kind of says it on its own. But I also do think too, Jacob Dobes, Sam Montembeault have been both pretty solid this year. Again, but I do think that this roster still has a little ways to go before it is fully ready, and Demidov will help with that. Demidov is really going to help with constructing this roster. Let's put that out there.
If Demidov is what we think he is now, what we expect him to be next year, Montreal's power play is going to be one of the best power play units in the league next year. And then, Demidov is expected to make his debut today against Chicago.
Yes. So, yes, he is going to make his debut. That's the expectation, at least. It's not 100% confirmed if that's happening, but I would imagine he's gotten a couple days here, gotten a couple good night's sleeps, and practice with the team. I would imagine that he's probably going to play.
I just want to say this because this is funny to me. So imagine you're coming home on Russia. You had a layover in Turkey. You have a long flight ahead of you. You need to catch some Z's. You need to just relax. And imagine you get out of customs. You get out of those doors.
I figured that.
And there's all of a sudden about maybe 70 people waiting to speak to you that you don't even know.
I mean,
so not even in the city that you're supposed to have your home in. This is
is Pearson in Toronto?
Yep,
that's insane. That is a little crazy.
And then you have people. I mean, compared to soccer, it was nothing because like if you follow soccer, you know that when guys go to town, it's like hundreds of thousands almost.
Yeah, that's why I'm not. That's why I'm not like crazy about it. Like, I mean, would I have done that? Would I have gone to an airport for somebody? No, I didn't go to an airport for Mechkov. But it's a little weird. I mean, it is a little strange. I don't think like it's like insanely weird. Like, I mean, it's fan
for me, here's where it got a little weird. For me, if you're standing there to meet Tilly, go hello, shake the hand, yada yada, that's fine. I don't really that's fine with me. When you start following him to his transportation and filming them,
that's what they were doing.
Yeah,
all right,
that's a little creepy to me.
Yeah, that's a little weird. I mean, again, like I didn't really find anything strange apart from that. To be honest with you,
I just found that funny.
I mean, it was kind of funny seeing everybody make fun of it.
Because I'll be honest, if I was on that long flight and I have 70 random strangers coming to meet me, I would be super cranky.
Oh, he probably was like. I mean, I didn't watch the live stream or anything.
I didn't watch it either, but I saw.
Well, I saw there was like 800 people on it, or like 50,000 people on it, or something. I'm like, Jesus Christ! I mean, again, that's the type of fans Montreal has. Those are the fans that
are criminally insane.
Yeah, I mean, like they are the most passionate, but also the most craziest fans in the league, and that's saying something considering Toronto's a fan base.
Yeah, I mean Montreal by far, I think they have the most passionate fan base in the league. It's not even close.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, let's move on. Alexander Nikishin, or Nikishin, however you say it, signed a 2-year ELC with the Carolina Hurricanes. 23-year-old was a 2020 third-round pick. He was 69th overall. He had 46 points in 61 games played this past year as the captain of SKA. This is a huge add to Carolina's blue line. This guy has been unreal the last couple of seasons with the Hurricanes, with SKA. We've been following him through the last couple of years. Just he's been phenomenal the entire time he's been overseas in Russia. And adding him to, in my opinion, what is already a pretty stacked defensive core is just insane.
Yeah, Nikishin and I think I did one of my lists earlier a couple weeks ago, saying I had Nikishin as the number 2 to number 1, like, best defensive prospect outside of the NHL.
Yes.
And
100%.
Deserved. The kid's insane. Like, he's insane. This is a big for Carolina. We don't really have that, like, number 1 offensive defenseman on the roster.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that. Jacob Slavin, I think, is a good number 1.
Slavin's more of a defensive defenseman, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, actually, yeah, you're kind of right. I mean, I would say he is their number 1 D, like right now in this present day. But when Nikishin gets there with his two-way sense, I think he probably is their number 1.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not saying that Slavin's not number 1. I'm saying a number 1 offensive defenseman. They don't really have an offensive defenseman on the roster. Like,
I agree with that. So you add Nikishin to this defensive core for Carolina. Their D core right now, let me read it off: Jacob Slavin, Brent Burns, Dmitry Orlov, Jalen Chatfield, Sean Walker, and Shane Gostisbehere. You have Scott Morrow as an extra D there as well. You put Nikishin in there. I would imagine, I mean, you might even start him first pairing out of the gate with Slavin. Mm-hmm. I think maybe you could see that happening. But realistically, let's just say he starts second pairing. You're going to have one of Sean Walker or Shane Gostisbehere not playing. And I think that is just wild. And it shows the depth of Carolina's blue line.
You probably also bench Chatfield.
You can do that as well. Yeah, I'm not saying that's the only option with Walker and Gostisbehere, but adding Nikishin to what is already a pretty damn good defensive core, it speaks volumes. And maybe, and this kind of backs up the first pairing argument, maybe they put him on the first pairing just so you can have a, guy in Brent Burns maybe play less minutes because he's getting old.
Yeah, this is probably this is probably his last year. And he's not what he used to be. Brent Burns at his prime was one of the best offensive defensemen in the NHL. But I next year, I don't think Burns will be on the roster next year. So I think Nikishin takes his place on the roster in the coming year.
Yep.
But yeah, no. If Morrow's not a bad prospect either. He's ranked number 18 on my defensive prospect list, and Carolina's got a really good future on the blue line, no doubt.
Yeah, it's weird too because most of them are locked up pretty long term. Slavin is on an extension next year. Orlov is actually coming off the books,
yes,
and so is Burns. So I would imagine it's probably what's going to happen. They're going to let those two guys walk. And then Nikishin and Morrow maybe come in and play more full-time roles. And that's a pretty young blue line there when you take out those two. It's a pretty damn young blue line. Their oldest will be Slavin. Or sorry, Gostisbehere. Sorry about that. Gostisbehere. He's 31.
Yeah, Gostisbehere's getting up there, but he's still a good defenseman.
Yes, he's still very good. He's their power play quarter. I think he's fourth in scoring on the team, which just is insane. He's their power play quarterback on that back end. Speaking of which, other guys who came from the NCAA, Jack Devine signed a 3-year ELC with Florida. This guy's been lighting it up in Denver. 7th round pick, a couple of years ago in 2022. This guy looks pretty good. I would imagine he spent some time in Charlotte before, but he had 57 points in 44 games played with Denver this past year. This is a guy who has offense. He's incredible like that. I don't know. It's wild how Florida's going to get a guy like this. But taking him out of their prospect pool as well as Sam Moskowitz, it's literally nobody.
Now it's the Panthers, hey, who's kicking around? And they're I don't know.
Yeah, they got literally nobody now. Devine was their best guy before Sam Moskowitz. So that's it for that. Buium signed a 3-year ELC with Minnesota. Buium's been tearing it up the last couple of years in Denver. Anything on Buium? I think he's top 3 defensive
Buium is in my opinion, he's the best defenseman from last year's draft.
And the Flyers passed him. Yeah. He was, and it's crazy too, LeBlanc. He was the last one of all those defensemen to go.
And I think that's the one thing that shocked both of us during our draft stream is that we did not expect Buium to fall to number 12. Was it 12 or 13?
13. He dropped past both of our teams. All 3 of our teams, actually, including my other team. So it's wild. And I think he might be the best defenseman out of that draft, as you said. Now, they're adding him onto that blue line with Brock Faber and David Jiricek, if Jiricek ends up panning out. But that is just unreal top 3 right there, along with Brodin and Spurgeon. Good Lord.
They're still good quality vets. Brodin is more of a stay-at-home kind of defenseman. And Spurgeon is a little more of your traditional two-way guy. Yeah.
And then Quinn Hutson signed a 2-year ELC with Edmonton. That is the last of the Hutson brothers. Hutson, senior at BU, had 50 points in 37 games played this year with Boston University. I think this is a kid who can be pretty decent.
Hold up.
Oh, God, what do you got?
Pause. There's another one?
There is another one. Yes, there's 3 of them. But Quinn is a forward. Quinn's a forward. Okay. Now, I did a stream on my main channel streaming Penn State versus BU. Cole Hutson's going to be freaking good. Washington got a goddamn steal there in Cole Hutson. But Quinn should be pretty good as well. He had a damn good year with BU, and I think going to Edmonton on an ELC could do wonders with him and Savoy. It makes that pool a little bit better. I would imagine Hutson probably spends the year in Bakersfield with Savoy. It's not bad, to be honest. I like it for Edmonton. He's going to be a good player there.
Yeah. I don't know much about Quinn Hutson, so I'm not going to speak.
No worries. All right, let's get into players who didn't sign. That being Isaac Howard, who is opting to go back to a senior year in Michigan State, which is not common. The 2025 Hobie Baker winner is not signing a contract with Tampa Bay to join the team, and he will be returning back to his college to play over there. Very interesting. He went on Game Notes a couple days ago, and was asked by Grinelli what was going on there, and he said, "I guess we didn't see eye to eye the same way I thought we would," and that does not look good for Howard there at all. Now, maybe what Tampa Bay told him is that he might start in the AHL, and he might not get a lot of playing time, which does make some sense, I guess, but I don't know. What do you think about this? It's a very weird situation.
So I have information about, I wouldn't say insider, but it's like, I got connected to Michigan State. So, first of all, when friend of the show Tim found out that Isaac Howard was coming back, literally backflips.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he's thrilled. And that's what I've also heard too. Like he might be doing this just because he has unfinished business there.
Yes.
I mean, Leonard did the same thing.
What I've been told is that Tampa Bay could not offer him guaranteed playing time on the forward, in the bottom six or in the middle six.
Which I guess makes sense.
It does.
In a sense.
But I look at... here's me. I look at Tampa Bay's bottom six, and there's no way Isaac Howard does not crack that.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, it's one thing with Ryan Leonard, because Leonard is just so much... He's a blue chip as compared to Howard. Howard is still a very, very good prospect, because outside of him and Tampa Bay's pool, you have crickets. But... I do kind of get a sense that, like, you don't want to interrupt the chemistry down there, I guess. But I don't know. Like, Howard lit up Michigan State this year and in the Hockey East. I don't know how. Won the Hobie Baker, yes. 52 points in 37 games played.
At the college level, he really has nothing left to prove. So
no, he doesn't.
From a pro standpoint, going back to college doesn't make much sense. I have a feeling that I don't think he's requested a trade. I don't
think that's it either.
I think he wants to come into a situation where he's guaranteed to get playing time, kind of like what Rutger McGroarty wanted in Winnipeg and didn't, and could not. And that's the thing about, and I'm not gonna go on an old man rant right now, but like the kids who come out of the U.S. development program specifically, they come into the NHL and think they're going to get the shot right away.
Well, yeah, we had this discussion in the summer with McGroarty, and we're just like,
that's not how
it's not proven, buddy. You can't just come in and play crazy like that. Like, it's one thing if you're a blue chip prospect. If you're like a Ryan Leonard or a Matvei Michkov or even I'm a Demidov type of player, you are going to get time out of the bat, most likely, because you have proven in these leagues that you can do it. But for somebody like, and Macklin Celebrini is another example too, but he was the first overall pick.
That's different.
Macklin Celebrini, oh my God, I got him on my head. Isaac Howard is none of those players.
Yeah, I would say Isaac Howard was drafted 27th, 28th overall by Tampa 2 years ago, I believe. Isaac Howard is a good prospect. He's a great hockey player, but he's not on the level of, like, I would say he's a better player than McGroarty was.
Yeah, I would argue that. I would say that.
But there's a point where it's like you need to go pro. Howard needs to go pro, because if you're gonna go back to college, I think it hurts your development.
It does. Here's what's gonna happen. He's gonna get traded in the offseason to a team that is gonna be like, oh yeah, we'll take the chance on you. He's gonna play. He's gonna struggle in the NHL. Then he's gonna go down to the minors.
You think that's what's gonna happen?
I saw the same thing with McGroarty last year. I'm not saying I think Howard's better than McGroarty. Maybe he plays better in the NHL, but I think a kid who thinks like this, it doesn't usually work out that good.
You think if a team a team who has multiple seconds, let's see.
Well, you know who I want. You know who I want to go and get him? Philadelphia.
Okay.
And here's why. You see how Anaheim's a different instance, and funny enough, I'm using a player that Philadelphia literally traded to him. You traded, and not only this too. Let me start from the beginning. So you see Anaheim, they trade for Cutter Gauthier for Jamie Drysdale in a second. That's not a good return. Even at the instance of that trade, it's not a good return. because Drysdale, with his time in Anaheim, was not that great. And the second round pick is a second round pick. With Howard, I don't think there's a lot of value there. Especially what we're hearing. I don't think Tampa is going to have that much leverage with what we're hearing in the media and everything. Now, I'm not saying he's worth nothing. I think he could get the equivalent of the Gauthier trade, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. It depends. I mean, again, you can maybe get a late first. I wouldn't be shocked.
Here's the thing from Philadelphia's standpoint. Philadelphia traded him away before all this came out. Like before it hit the media, Philly traded him away. So Philly had leverage. If that got out to the media, that Cutter was not going to sign, their leverage is poo-poo. So,
and that's what's going on with Tampa right now.
Like, I think a team, and I always say pick this team to take chances on guys, but like, you look at a team that has multiple second and third round picks. You look at the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yes, and he actually is a Wisconsin kid, and Wisconsin is somewhat close to Chicago. So I think that really does make sense. However, for Philadelphia, here's the hard truth. Their pool, with Michkov gone, it's definitely better than it was at the beginning of the year. Because I think Luchenko is going to prove a lot of people wrong.
But it's not. It's not top 10. It's not. I would say it's probably in like 15. It's like 15 to 12 range.
It's middle of the pack.
Yeah.
And they are projected right now to pick outside of the bottom 5, 6th overall. And we have had the discussion. This draft is not that good.
It's not.
Like, outside of the top 4 is immediate, maybe top 5. You can make an argument for top 5, maybe even top 6.
8. In the top 8, you have like real game changers in the top 8, and then after the top 8, it's just like some of those guys in like last year's draft would be taken the second round or third round.
So the player that Philadelphia is going to get here at, let's just say 6th overall. Let's say it's Victor Eklund. Okay. Why not? And I'd love to get Victor Eklund on my team. That would be a good ad. That makes the pool a lot better. However, you see players on other teams take risks on players like this. You saw it happen with McGroarty. You saw it happen with Cutter Gauthier. If I'm Philadelphia, you have a shitload of second-round picks. Not all those second-round picks are going to pan out. Why not trade one of those second-round picks or even one of your later first? Who the hell are you going to get? Let me ask you this. Would you rather a 27th overall pick or Isaac Howard?
Isaac Howard. But Isaac Howard was taken 27th overall, though.
Yes. Was he really? I thought he was later. A little later than that.
No,
I think he was like
he was 30th, I think.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to say here is you need to get immediate impact players for Michkov. You can't be just waiting on these prospects forever. And honestly, I don't like their future. I don't like where they're moving forward. Maybe I'll feel better after the draft. But if they were to go out and trade for somebody like Isaac Howard and add those alongside a hypothetical Victor Eklund and a Jet Luchenko and a Nikita Gurbankin and Oliver Bonk, how are you feeling with that pool?
I'm going to, from an outside perspective, Philadelphia has a decent future, but it's not wowing me.
Now, if you get Isaac Howard along with, hypothetically, Victor Eklund, how does that future look now?
Better, a lot better. Because I think Howard has proven himself at the college level. And Howard, if he comes, like, Howard's going to take 2 years to, like, really adjust and get into a top 6 role, I feel. Isaac Howard helps the team in the long run. A guy like Eklund, even a guy like Roger McQueen, if he's there at 6, really helps the Flyers there.
Yeah. Eklund was just hypothetical. I was just using him.
But and Howard was drafted 31st overall, excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, like, Philadelphia has multiple seconds. Take a second and go get Isaac Howard. But there's 2 arguments to this. You either use the seconds to get impact players, and you can get probably a better impact player than Isaac Howard for a second-round pick somewhere else.
Possibly.
Or you keep those seconds, and like it said, your draft picks are like darts, like I've said before.
Here's the problem, though. Like, with those picks, you could get a better player than Howard. You have like 4. How many seconds do they have? I'm sure they have like 4. You don't need all
You
of
don't
them.
need all of them.
You
No,
don't.
no. And especially
Like
in a
4.
draft. Like, here's the thing. We've gone into drafts in the past saying the draft is bad, and the draft becomes one of the better drafts going forward.
Okay, yeah.
So we've
we did
seen
say
that before. Like, we don't. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't got a big beard. I'm not Merlin. I can't.
He used to. He used to. If the Sens go deep, he might. Anyways, continue.
But yeah, you don't need 4 second-round picks. Even teams who have 4 second-round picks, like, we need to get rid of some of these.
With Buffalo tried to do this many times, where they would stack up on picks and then pick all their players, and it didn't work out for them. Why not use some of those picks and trade them for impact?
And now that's what Buffalo's doing. Buffalo wants to do that now. Now that they're
Yes.
we don't need picks. We need players.
Now they don't have enough picks to trade. That's why Philadelphia, or not even Philadelphia, a team that, like Chicago, should go out and get a guy like Howard. Honestly. So that's kind of where I stand with that. I know we went down the rabbit hole with all that. That's it for NCAA transition, guys. Any more thoughts, though?
I'm gonna hate to say this though. Seeing Cutter Gaucher's end of year spurt in Anaheim really like just pisses me off if I was a Philadelphia fan, because
It does.
him like I hate to put salt in the wound, but him with Mitchkov would have been just gross.
I know. I mean, that trade and that whole season, I have said it. I have beat it to bed. That whole season, the trades, most of it, or I actually just that one, the trades and the overall just season falling out of the end, it set us back so far. And I think if we were just ass and we got a top 5 pick, we could have got someone like Demidov or a really good defenseman or a Macklin Celebrini for all we know. It set us back so far.
Yeah,
really
and looking at Philly next year, unless there's like a big trade that's happening,
they're going to be the same.
they're going to be worse, I feel.
Maybe. That's a possibility.
I'll be honest, if you're Philly, next year you kind of want to bottom out.
Yes, please, Gavin McKenna. I beg.
I want to.
My problem is, I feel like they're too good.
And I'm going to put this out there because it happened twice for these two players. Buffalo and Edmonton and Toronto in 2015 sold everything. They sold everything off because they wanted to bottom out to get McDavid. Buffalo did it unsuccessfully. 2015, Chicago did this with Bedard. They traded away DeBrincat. They traded away a lot. I don't remember. They got rid of Strome. They traded away a lot of guys. Chicago, before they got Bedard, was like, they weren't a good team. They weren't a bad team though. They were middle of the pack. They were in no man's land. So they bought him out to get Bedard. San Jose was just bad. We're not gonna go into that with Celebrini. The mechanic kid is ready to be pretty good, like pretty fucking good. I feel you're going to see teams who are in the middle of the pack try and bottom out.
I agree. I think McKenna might be better than Bedard, and that's like insane to say.
It's insane because I mean we've beat Bedard to no excuse me no pause.
We have beat the Bedard elite to death.
We've beat the Bedard situation to death on this podcast. Like we've talked about it so many times. We've gone over it. We've gone over it. I think since like November we've talked about this. You put Bedard with players who are good, he's going to succeed.
Right, I agree with that.
That's the horror of being picked with the first pick in a rebuild.
Yep, 100%. I mean, again, we've had the discussion like he came too early.
Yeah.
One more thing on Howard. One of his partners who is there with him right now, or one of his teammates is in Philadelphia right now. What's his name? Try to think.
I'm blanking.
Carson Dorwart.
Ooh, yes.
We just got him from Michigan State as an unsigned guy. So come on over, Isaac Howard. Come on. All right. Anyways, moving on from all that. Let's actually stay in the headspace of players who might not be on their team next season. Brock Boeser There were some comments that were made about Boeser saying that he probably is not returning to Vancouver. This comes after not trading him at the trade deadline. Alvin making comments about how, oh, if you saw the offers that I was getting, you wouldn't believe me, meaning that they were probably bad for Boeser, and that doesn't bode well.
And that doesn't make any sense either because the market was
Doesn't make sense. You're right.
Boeser leaving, honestly, that was on my bingo card. Like what is like I could see this coming from a mile away. And if he signs Minnesota, like color me pink. It was the most obvious thing to happen. And the Canucks not extending Boeser, giving him what he wants, that's on them. That is on them.
It's a travesty. It's poor asset management.
It is, and we talk about this every year where we get a UFA who wasn't traded, and they're I want to say Boeser's part of the core in Vancouver.
I would say so.
So you see a guy who's like part of the core, like they don't get re-signed UFA, and they say, oh, usually they boast it and say, oh, I'm going to resign. Boeser's like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, just.
And I don't blame him either. After what happened, especially what happened, there were comments about when his father passed away from the Vancouver media, and that I think that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
I remember I just remember he bawling his eyes out. He walked out of the press conference.
Yeah, that Vancouver media is brutal. But yeah, this is just really poor asset management by the Canucks. Really bad asset management.
And he's going to go somewhere. I assume he's going to sign somewhere in the States. I don't see him going to a Canadian market. Though
I just have a funny feeling it's going to be the Blue Jackets. Like, that's just like what...
I could see that, yeah.
What goes in my head. And maybe because I'm watching them on the TV right now in front of me, but that's what just goes through my head.
He's a Minnesota kid. I don't think Minnesota has the... they will have the space for him.
They will, because that money's coming off the books. I think it could happen. Again, they could use another scorer, but... I don't know, to be honest with you. Well, we will see there with Boeser. But coming back to Vancouver, just really poor asset management. This year has been just horrible.
Hell, it's been the worst. Like this is the biggest downfall I've ever seen. Actually, like
12 months ago, this team was firmly in a playoff spot.
They won the division. They won the Pacific.
Did they win the West?
They won the Pacific.
Did they win who won the West last year? Colorado or Dallas? Dallas won the West. Well, Vancouver was the second seed in the Western Conference. And they're going to play Nashville. They beat Nashville. They don't have Demko for that either, by the way, in any of those series. They lose Boeser in Game 7 against Edmonton. We look at them after that Game 7 loss, and we say to ourselves, they're going to be back next year. If they have Demko and Boeser, they could go on a really deep run. And now they don't have JT Miller. They might not have Brock Boeser. Pettersson is a shell of his former self. They might not have Rick Tocchet next year. Quinn Hughes might be gone as well. Good Lord.
Quinn Hughes might request a trade. That's how bad of a year it's been.
I'm not saying that will happen. Like, if Boeser leaves, though... and
Pettersson might be traded as well. Pettersson might be traded as well.
Pettersson might be traded, too. That might be a thing we follow as well in the offseason. Good Lord.
And I feel bad for Vancouver fans because they've suffered through so much shit. Like 2
postseason appearances in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And 2 of them, one of them came in a bubble year.
And the other...
I don't think they would have made it.
No, so they made it in 2015. 2015, the bubble year in 2020. And...
3 times in 10 years.
And then they made it last year.
Well, it's like 2 times in like 15 years.
But I want to say that 2015 appearance was a total fluke.
Yeah, it looks like a complete outlier. One of those years was a bubble year. They wouldn't have made it otherwise, I don't think. They might.
No, they would have been the 8th seed, I think.
Let's go take a look at that. Yeah, I think they would have been, yes.
Yeah, so... Yeah, and they're like the year that they almost beat Vegas in 7 games.
No, they wouldn't have been. They wouldn't have even made it.
Yeah, they take out the Blues. They almost beat Vegas. They take Vegas to 7 games. Then it's just shit again. Well, 2015 was a rebuild year, but they made the playoffs, so it was stupid. Then the rebuild happens, and then make playoffs in the bubble year, do all that stuff, and then it's just shit again. Make the playoffs, win the division, beat Nashville, take your depleted roster to Game 7 with McDavid and the Oilers. And then it's just shit again.
Isn't it ironic how after 2020 we thought, oh yeah, this team has such a bright future, and then they go back to being shit for 3 more years, and then after last year's playoffs we're like, oh yeah, this team will be back next year. They go back to being even shittier.
I'll be honest, if Vancouver trades Pettersson, Quinn Hughes deserves to be traded as well. Because I'll be honest, I'm Quinn Hughes, I'm looking at this team. I know Pettersson had a really bad year.
Yeah.
It's not a good look.
You lose Boeser and Miller in the span of 3 months. And you might even lose Pettersson too. That is, who else is left after that?
Like what in
that forward
what in the
literally everyone in that forward core is gone. All the top players would be gone. Right now they're all gone. Look at the Pettersson's not playing. Neither is.
And like if you look at Pettersson's stats this year, I'm gonna just look it up real quick.
The next best player, if they lose Pettersson and Boeser on that forward core, is Jake DeBrusk.
And he's signed for 6 more years.
Yes. Oh my God.
Pettersson has played 64 games this year. He had 45 points, 15 goals, 30 assists. That is just not good enough.
After Miller, he definitely got better. He did start letting up a little bit, but then he got hurt.
I want to remind you, he had 89 points last year.
Yeah. And even you want to go even further than that, he signed his contract and then he fell off a cliff. He didn't score in the playoffs. We forget about that too. And I think some of it might be a lingering injury. Yeah, that might be some of it.
Yeah,
though.
But here's the thing: this is his worst season ever. Like I'm not counting 2021 where he played 26 games and got injured. Even then, he had a better point per game. This is his worst season ever.
That's insane.
And even in 2021, when he played 26 games, he had 10 goals. That's only 5 less than he had this year.
Oh my God!
Like Vancouver, and I don't mean to shit on your fans of this team. The Vancouver management and team just piss me off. Like, how do you
I agree. They have great fans.
How do you have all great fans, amazing fans, but the management or the organization is just trash.
Yeah,
and the media surrounding the team also trash.
100%. They have probably the second worst media in the league.
I honestly would argue it's fair. Like you get the Toronto media bias, but when you've been to Vancouver, you see it. You see it. I don't even live there, and you see it. You hear it. You see
Toronto. Well, no, Toronto media. I actually kind of agree with you now. Toronto media is one thing. They will pressure the hell out of you, and again, we've had this discussion so many times. They win 3. They win 3. Nobody cares. They lose 3. Oh my God! It's the end of the world. In Vancouver, everything is
everything is falling. Everything is
they win a game. Oh, Miller hates Pettersson.
And
they lose a game. Oh, Boeser wants out.
So bad. The Vancouver Canucks organization called the radio stations around Vancouver, Surrey, Coquitlam area and said, "Hey, could you ease up?" That's how bad it got. When an organization is calling the media, telling, "Hey, could you fuck off?"
Do you think a lot of this is the media?
Yeah, but for Pettersson. Pettersson's point total is I don't care what's going on. That's not good enough.
No, it's not. I mean, maybe the media. It's a mix. I think of the media
is a factor. But Pettersson, I want to say his attitude. Even when he was a rookie, Pettersson, when he got asked an inappropriate question, he'd give you the quote, the Pettersson death stare, where he would just stare at you and not answer the question. He's had that attitude even now. He still does that. I think honestly, I think this is just he needs to change the scenery. At this point, Vancouver, and I don't want to say go back to a rebuild because that's the worst thing for fan base wants to hear. But I don't see a way out of this. Demko's health is in jeopardy still.
Yeah,
I don't see a way out of this.
Demko might get traded.
Demko might get.
We're back.
Demko might get.
We're back to disaster. Yeah, we're back to a complete disaster.
And this
terrible.
And for the Canucks, this feels like when the end of Mike Gillis' tenure. And I know you're too young to remember this, but that's when Vancouver traded Luongo.
Yes. I don't know. I remember that
They
time,
traded
but I don't remember.
Luongo and they traded Schneider in the span of like 6 months.
Well, yeah, that's stupid.
And then they had no goalie until Markstrom was ready. So, like, Vancouver, like, the only prospect that I know that Vancouver has that's decent is Tom Willander. Other
Yeah,
than that,
BU.
I don't.
I mean, their blue line's not that
Their blue
bad.
line's not that bad, but like their blue line is set for the future. That's the only saving grace. You have Hughes, you have Pettersson, you have Hronek, who's on and off, and then
Hughes, Pedersen, the other Pedersen, Hronek, Willander.
and
It's
Myers.
a good blue
Myers
line.
has had a bounce back with Talkin as a coach. So
Yeah. The forward core is just a bunch of
forward
nobodies.
core is just if you take out Pettersson, who's your star forward? Jake DeBrusk.
Connor Garland. PS Suter's your 1 seed.
And I'll be honest, if you told me that JT Miller got traded before Connor Garland, because Garland's been in trade rumors for so long.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
This is a bad situation. I honestly really do feel like Vancouver should clean house upstairs. We're not talk it upstairs though, where all the management is.
Mm-hmm. Now let me ask you this. Who do you think has a worser culture? The Vancouver Canucks or the New York Rangers?
I think Vancouver's culture was more from you had two players who couldn't stand each other.
Well, funny enough, one of those players is on the Rangers, and there's a lot of shit going down there.
The Rangers is different. Here's the thing: the Rangers don't have injury problems. The Rangers don't. The Rangers don't have injury. Like Shesterkin had a down year. Sure, he was still Shesterkin though. He's still pretty good.
Yeah. So, Vancouver or
I take the Vancouver's culture, but Vancouver's culture is like the media's always shitting on you. But in New York City, everybody's always shitting on you. Not even just the media, everybody's shitting.
In New York City, they hate young players and just scratch players for a long amount of time.
I feel like with Vancouver, upstairs sucks. With the Rangers, upstairs and the coaching sucks.
Yep.
And the players also like you said, like Kakko. I think Kakko said this best, where he said they're not going to play me anyway, so they're not going to care what I say. And then the next day he got traded.
Yeah.
Yep. Like Chris Drury, honestly, might be worse than Patrick Alvin.
Not even close. That whole Rangers culture is bad. So let me get into this here. So there was things going on with Calvin DeHaan. First off, the Rangers were eliminated the other night from the playoffs after a very good start to the year and then just shitting the bed. You know what's a fun fact? They haven't won more than 2 games since November.
I know. Yeah.
In a row, which is like insane. So Calvin DeHaan, per Molly Walker, so I'm just going to read the tweet. I'll put him on screen here as well. Calvin DeHaan walked past us as he was about to get on the ice and commented on how it's all finally over. This is Molly Walker. I was not there. He said something to the effect of, "How about the way I've been treated here? It's fucked." We asked if he wanted to talk. He said yes, and that he would be very transparent. And she tweeted a couple of minutes later, after coming off the ice and having a conversation with the Rangers PR, DeHaan decided he wanted to wait until the end of the season so we could get more information. I confirmed it was his decision, and he said yes, but it was clear the Blue Shirts did not want him to talk. So any thoughts there after those 2 tweets? That is something. PRC silent.
What kind of mafia could want him to talk?
Well, it's New York, so I'm not surprised in the slightest if I'm being completely honest.
Calvin DeHaan, first of all, Ottawa native. Second of all, the Rangers have always, even the way they treated Trouba on the way out. Even I think he even said it best. You end your tenure. A Rangers captain ends your tenure by getting traded. It's how it always has been.
Listen. I'll say this and then I'll continue because I do have other posts, other things I want to read. I think the way, look, Trouba wasn't good. He was bad defensive liability. He just hit people. That was all he was good for. But that's not a way you treat your captain on the way out. That is not how you treat a captain whatsoever. And a guy who has been there for a lot of his career. I almost said his entire career, but I thought he was with I forgot he was with Winnipeg. So, anyways, moving on. Johnny Lazarus retweeted the post and said, Calvin DeHaan doesn't owe the Rangers anything. So I'm very excited to hear what he has to say about what he's experienced. You have to think there are others around the organization who have similar sentiments, but might not feel they're in a position to speak out. As I see a player willingly speak their mind openly. And I think of one example that I think of is Zach Jones, who spent a lot of time not in the Rangers lineup this year. So DeHaan decided to reply, and get ready because he put out a long thing.
I have not heard this. I've not heard replying, so
I really backed him up on this. So DeHaan replied to Laz's comments saying, going to get ahead of this now. I was hoping that I would have been able to express in a scrum setting versus a quote as I was going onto the ice and having it on the internet 30 seconds later. I said what I said because I am frustrated. And any competitor who says that they would be happy in this position would be lying to you. After playing 3 games with the team and going 2-0-1, I thought I maybe would have gotten an opportunity to jump in the lineup and help win some games. Did I help those games that I played? Maybe, maybe not, but we still won and collected some crucial points to climb the standings. I understand the youth movement in the NHL, and I'm getting older in hockey years, and I may not be able to play every single night. I feel like I can contribute to help the team win. I know I'm not going to play 20 minutes a night in the role I've been in the past few years, but again, I feel like I can still keep up and help a team in certain facets of the game. I'm not trying to be the villain or gain attention or throw shade on the organization. I would have preferred a scrum setting in a chat about how my time as a Ranger is gone. As a player, you have to respect the lineup decisions, whether you like them or not. It's just been frustrating and not being able to compete and do what I love to do. I hope everyone understands.
Okay, so
do you want me to send you it?
No, I got it. You read it pretty clearly. So
good, because I sometimes read fast and it doesn't help.
You look at first of all, Calvin DeHaan is a professional in every step of the way. Every step of the way, Calvin DeHaan is a professional, and I feel like he handled this situation with grace, and he handled it with like, listen, this is my honest opinion. This is what's happening. This is what's going on. He didn't say what happened, but he's like saying this is what I wanted and not. I said out of frustration. I didn't say it out of, me wanting to say bad on the organization. Mm-hmm. However, for a player to get that frustrated to say that, plus if he said any competitor would be, he said they would be fine here, would not be fine, which it speaks volumes. The Rangers have always been an organization where everything is microscopic. They're basically the Leafs of the South of the United States,
of the South of North America of America is a better way to put it.
They're the Leafs of America. So everything is on a microscope. Everything is double what it should be. And I get it. And players have come from Toronto and they've thrown shade at the organization. Jean-Philippe Lupul, many years ago, for example, he threw shade at the organization for, quote, he accused the Leafs of cheating. And that's a whole different conversation, though. And how he was treated, and I get it. I mean, New York's in shambles.
Yes, they are. They really are in shambles. So Calvin DeHaan was traded to the Rangers March 1st in the trade with Lindgren going to the Avalanche. For the record, I do want to say, let me pull up Ryan Lindgren's stats here real quick. Lindgren, I know, has played more than 3 games with the Avalanche. That's a certain. Lindgren has played 18 games with Colorado since he came over. Calvin DeHaan's played 3 since March 1st. You know how many games the Rangers have played since then?
21.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
21. 21 games. Listen, I feel like, and I've said this so much today, or not just today, the last couple of podcasts, why do the Rangers keep picking up just like extra random defensemen when they already have so many guys on that back end?
Yeah.
And they're not all even that good either. Like, no shade being thrown here at DeHaan. They have 9 defensemen in their NHL roster.
And they always they pick up it's always some 7th defenseman.
Yes. Fox, Miller, Carson Soucy, they picked up this year. Will Borgen, they picked up this year. Urho Vakahinen, they picked up this year. Calvin DeHaan, they picked up this year. Along with Zach Jones, Braden Schneider, Matthew Robertson,
Out of the 10,
Why do you need that many?
out of the 10 players you said, I counted seven defensemen. I know it's kind of oxymoron, but like 7 of those guys should not be in the lineup. Well,
No.
and like, here's the thing. I get it. Every team usually has like one bad defenseman. This is, and I don't want to say bad. Like they have a 7D caliber defenseman on the roster.
It's not even that they're bad. Why do you have so many?
Exactly.
You don't need that many. Like, even bad or not, you don't need 9 fucking defensemen. When they got DeHaan, I'm like, what are we doing? It's one thing to have that whole core, because Robertson's an AHLer. Let's be for real here. You can have a 7 defenseman and a guy like maybe Zach Jones, who even voiced that he was upset with the team. But you have like 3 or 4, even 5 guys who you have. And by the way, DeHaan's been in the NHL all year. He's not playing. If he's in the AHL and playing, that's one thing. He's not playing at all. At all.
Yeah, so I guess getting
he's like the taxi squad from the COVID years.
And I get that's frustrating. And I feel like, honestly, at that point, you may like just send me, like, play me or just send me down.
Play him in the A. Or have a rotation. Florida, I know this is like a weird example, but Florida in their forward core, they had a rotation in the playoffs. They were rolling like 14 forwards. They had a guy swapping in and out every game. You can't do that with New York and their D-core. Yeah. You're not making the playoffs. You're out.
New York's not going to blow it up. And they're not going to blow it up. It's not good for business, but
they're not like Vancouver, where they can do that.
Yes. Well, Vancouver can blow it up, but for business' sake, it's not a good idea.
No, it's not. I also think, and this is the unfortunate part of it, they could probably make the playoffs next year.
And, I don't want to see the Raiders. Like, I don't want to see that. Like,
I don't. I think it could happen.
The Rangers are going to. I don't think the Rangers are going to make big changes this offseason.
I would think so, maybe.
And you could see, and I'm going to put the guy I think who's going to be out the door, and it's going to be Chris Kreider.
Oh, he's gone. Guy's playing 4th line.
Yeah, he's gone.
Not only that, too, you get
Zibanejad's probably getting bought out.
Possibly. Here's another thing, too. Gabe Perreault just came from Boston College, has been scratched the last couple of games.
And, like, that's not how you do young players. And I don't know what, like, the Rangers, the Rangers are the new halves of development, because if you know, before the Kent Hughes era in Montreal, they had the Bergevin era. Bergevin was like notorious for getting these young kids and just scratching them or like playing them for.
Why do you think for years the Habs never had more than like an 80-point scorer? Kovalev was their last 80-point guy before Suzuki last year.
And Kovalev retired for over 10 years.
In 2015.
Kovalev retired in like 2010.
Yeah. Good Lord. Like, and I don't mean to go off of Montreal here, but like, why do you think every prospect they had during that stretch besides Cole Caulfield? And fun fact, Caulfield came into the fold after Bergevin was gone. Mm-hmm. Why do you think all of those players did not pan out? The same thing is happening here with New York. Lafreniere, first overall pick, was going to be really good when he was projected before the draft. People forget it. Like, it's 5 years post, but he was going to be really fucking good. He was
projected to be, like, I don't want to see, he wasn't on Crosby's level of, like, height, but he was, like, I want to say he was a little bit above, like, Celebrini in hype. Like, he was like...
You heard it. You heard the hype. It was real. He comes to New York. He's been...
He's had a bad year.
Okay.
I think
he's had a bad year this year. He's not first overall material. You see, Capo Caco got drafted 2nd overall, and he gets traded to Seattle after being terrible with New York. He might even have half the points he had in Seattle, had in New York, that he does in Seattle right now. That's how bad things are.
You think Pedersen's had a bad year? Lafreniere has the exact same amount of points in more games.
Just atrocious.
17 goals, 28 assists, 45 points, minus 14 in 80 games played, and he's played every single game.
He's played every game.
Just gave him money.
Yep, they just gave him that money. So what's funny is that, oh my God, Seattle with Kako's time in Seattle. So he has 29 points right now. Okay, he has 29 points right now with Seattle in the time that he's been there. his career high is 40 points. The guy's about to have more points in Seattle than his career high in his entire career with the Rangers. And he played 48 games this year with New York.
How many points?
That speaks volume.
How many points does he have?
You can't tell me that that's just a coincidence.
How many points does he have in Seattle?
29.
29. How many points does he have this year?
29 plus 14. That is more than 40.
Yeah, so that's insane. I think his point per game in Seattle is higher than it's ever been in New York.
Yeah. That speaks volume. And you can't tell me otherwise. That shows the Rangers' development is dog shit. And it starts with Chris Drury. Not even Peter Laviolette. Chris Drury.
Yeah, no. I would
where it's at.
Like
now Laviolette's done a shit job, and I think he's gone. I think he is gonzo. Hearing the stuff about how he doesn't go in the locker room, he's gone. He's gone.
Well, he doesn't go in the locker room. That's like saying, me and my wife sleep in different bedrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
it's not right.
No, what coach in any sport doesn't go in the locker room?
Yep. Just doesn't it doesn't make sense.
He's done Laviolette, Laviolette is a dinosaur, first of all. He's won a Stanley Cup. All respect to him. He was great.
He's coached every Metro team, except for like 2 as well. You don't even realize that either.
Yeah, he's coached Washington,
Philadelphia, the Rangers, Hurricanes. People forget about that.
That's where he won his cup.
Yeah.
He's a dinosaur. I don't want to say he's on Torts level of dinosaur, but he's getting.
No, he's not as bad as Torts. Believe me, I've experienced it firsthand.
But Laviolette's not a good coach for this situation, and I feel like he will be fired. Chris Drury should be shot in a cannon and be dumped in the Hudson.
Agreed. Chris Drury has completely,
and the Rangers might not have a first-round pick next year.
If I think as of right now they don't,
because they get if it's outside the top 13, they get to pick. If it's inside the top 13, if it's inside the top 13, they get to pick.
I don't know. I think might. If you're them, what do you do?
If the Rangers are picking from 13 to 1, I think they get to it goes to next year. If it's outside, they get to choose if they want it or not.
If you're them, what do you do?
I'm not gonna lie. If I'm Pittsburgh, I am salivating at a Rangers first round pick next year.
I am as well. I would be too.
Because I don't think this team's you say they can get back there, but knowing if Chris Drury's still in control, this is gonna be a nightmare.
I think they can. But I'm not picking. I wouldn't say I'd pick them to go.
I'm not picking them,
but I think
playoffs next year. I know we haven't had any moves yet or all, but if they're those two, we went on a huge fucking rant.
We did. That's like an hour now.
Those two organizations are just. They're kind of.
But they are. They're a disaster.
They're a disaster.
So yeah,
you know it's bad when the teams that are rebuilding are built together a lot better. Like, look at San Jose.
Look at Montreal.
Montreal's not really rebuilding, but I'd even argue Detroit has done a better job at developing their prospects than the Rangers.
Oh, 100%. I mean, a lot of Detroit's prospects haven't even developed yet,
but they're good at it is what it is. You know what I mean?
Well, Lucas Raymond was picked the same year as Alexis Lafreniere and is better than Alexis Lafreniere. So both Ottawa players,
they are.
Both Ottawa players that were drafted, and you can attest to this, are better than Alexis Lafreniere.
Yeah.
And they were both drafted, guess what? Lower. Quinton Byfield is better than Alexis Lafreniere. Seth Jarvis as well. Well, I mean, Seth Jarvis might be better than everybody in that class, besides Stu. You can make an argument.
It's debatable. Quinton Byfield might be better. I'm not going to lie. Quinton Byfield might be better. Brock Faber's better. Who else is in that class? Even the guy they had 2 first-round picks, and they took Schneider.
Yep. I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's
just a complete purgatory going on there in those two organizations.
Marco Rossi.
Yep.
There we go. That's what I remember.
A couple of things to wrap up here before we end the show. The Vegas Golden Knights won the Pacific Division. The Winnipeg Jets won the Central and the President's Trophy, by the way, with the Western Conference as well. The Capitals won the Metro, and the only one that's up for grabs right now is the Atlantic.
Well, by the time I think Tampa's winning right now, so I don't think the Atlantic's gonna be clinched up.
If Tampa loses, then the Atlantic will be clinched up,
Tampa
but I'm not
won
exactly sure.
7-4. So
yeah, that's not happening tonight.
But if Toronto wins gets at least 1 point, they're gonna win the Atlantic, and then we're gonna get the Battle of Ontario, the Battle of Florida in the first round.
Which, by the way, we'll wrap up with this: the Ottawa Senators clinched the playoff spot the last week for the first time in 7 years. Blocked off his shirt. So just to end off this episode, I had a lot more planned, but we went on way more than I thought we would, which is fine. But LeBlanc, how are you feeling? Your team's back in the playoffs.
I'm so jubilant. I know. Like the worst thing was that we lost the game. We lost the game.
You did, and because I forget what the results were. Somebody who was battling
Montreal beat
lost.
Detroit in regulation, so that clinched the playoff spot. But it was weird. But the next game we were against Montreal, and we beat them. So that was the point of selling. But it was like. This market's been yearning for this for so long. They got the Sens Miles signs back up now. The whole city's getting into it. All the Fairweather fans are coming back out, which is weird to see. I see people. I have people from who knew me from high school. They're like, "Hey, can I get some playoff tickets?" I'm like, "I don't know you."
I wonder where those Mile High Sens stuff went. That's been a.
Yeah, but I'm so happy. Here's the thing: I don't even care if they get swept. I don't give a shit. We're in the playoffs. That's the only thing that matters. I like to win a game, but I'm definitely going to try and go to at least one of the playoff games. That's in Ottawa if I can get tickets.
I don't think they will get swept. They're kind of hot.
They are kind of hot, but they're playing. I want to put out. They are resting guys right now. Since they clinched, they've been resting guys.
Yeah, it's crazy work.
Yeah. But yeah, and then if Columbus, I don't know if Columbus won tonight, but look at this now.
Columbus did win, so it looks like they're going to see the playoffs go into
Montreal. I know this is going to go on Monday, but tonight Montreal plays Chicago.
Yes, so if Montreal wins that, they are clinched. If Montreal does lose that, then
they're in trouble.
I don't know. Let me look at the standings.
Because Montreal's up 3 points on Columbus right now.
Yeah, so if Montreal loses that game, Columbus can max out. If they win out, they have to win out first off.
Montreal,
they can max out at 89 points and pass Montreal. That'd be an insane collapse.
That would be here's the thing. Montreal. I want Montreal to make it because I want more Canadian teams in, of course. But Columbus getting in would be hilarious. Just the collapse of Montreal. They had such a big lead.
Yeah, you know what's funny though? Montreal, negative 21 goal differential.
That is true. And then tonight, today we're recording. If Calgary loses to San Jose, they're out. And then the Blues and Wild clinch.
Yeah, I got the game on TV right now. It's going to be very intriguing to see what does end up happening there. But we're right there, the final week of the regular season. We'll wrap up with this. The plan is on Thursday. We are doing a playoff prediction recording with the Nordcast. LeBlanc will probably be joining us, so it will be an MVP episode as well. A crossover, I guess you could say. It'll upload on Friday. It'll be our whole preview. We'll go into all the rounds. We'll go into all the discussions about it, predictions and everything like that. And that next day will be the first day of the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah.
We're here. All right. Well, that's a wrap. Any final thoughts?
New York sucks.
New York does suck. Reading Royals are in. We're in, baby. That's what I'm gonna say. Just I could go into that. What's funny is we were 8 games below 500, and we're in a playoff spot now. I can't believe we did it. We went on an insane run. But anyways, we'll save that for the Nordcast if you guys want to listen to that. But that's it for us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see ya in the next episode.
Ciao.
do. Yo, check. Let me flip this script. I feel privileged for all who can witness this. I am close to divine. Know the moment is mine, need no omen or sign. Providing a back sound to all the squares that ask around. Be getting it. My skills pay me. Trying to get a million, baby, with an adopted flow that God gave me. Tell whoever runners that they spot is temporary till I take it, it's mine. I'm selfish, your will. Tell Miss I'm on my wealth tip. So when we cash out soon, I'm just investing. Hey, no yes men. I've been a legend since before mom and dad had me and was best friends. I chew through comp, don't test them. I chew on tracks, cause after that I bless them. I just do what I do. You see me? I just do what I do. I just do what I do. I don't know about you, I just do what I do.